Okay. So is the screen visible to you people? Just tell me once.
जी सर.
Okay, 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 okay. So yes, guys. So basically, see, there are certain general doubts. Okay, general doubts in the sense. Leave this question for now. Okay, leave this question for now. First, we'll see what all general doubts are there. Okay. Now see, first doubt is basically that students are unable to address the demand. Unable to address the demand of the question. Okay. So what exactly means by the demand of the question? Let's say, for example, question is asking you certain, or let's say a certain shade of the particular theme. Let's say, see, we'll be discussing all these things. There is a particular theme. Okay, theme of, let's say, the topics, and question will be on any of the shade. Okay, any of the shade of the topics particularly. Okay, so let me show you in this particular question. Okay, now see here, see this particular question. Now theme here is basically about the Mahatma Gandhi and the Rabindranath Tagore's approach towards education and nationalism. Okay, so basically, what is the theme? Theme is basically that Mahatma Gandhi's approach to education and nationalism, and then Rabindranath Tagore's approach to nationalism and education. Okay, and now here basically the theme, or let's say the shade. Okay, the shade is basically to differentiate between the two. Okay, so you don't need to just write the information, you also need to let's say differentiate between the approach. Okay, so this is what exactly the difference is. See, let's say, for example, let's see the another question over here. Question is basically asking about the British and Indian approach to the parliamentary sovereignty. Okay, so we know the concept. Okay, we know the concept parliamentary sovereignty, we know the British concept, we know the Indian context. Okay, now this is the theme. Okay, theme kya hai question ki? The theme is parliamentary sovereignty of British and Indian approach, but the shade, okay, or let's say the exact demand is to compare and contrast. Okay, so basically compare and contrast is nothing but you need to highlight the distinctions and the similarities over there. Okay, so hope you got it. Now, how to work on this demand of the question? How to work on this demand of the question? So what I would suggest to people is, let's say, take any of the question, take PYQs. Okay, take PYQs initially, and what you need to do is don't start writing the question directly, or let's say don't address the question directly from the starting itself. Okay, you don't need to write the answer immediately. What you need to do is see the question first. See the question first. Okay, then think on it. Think, or let's say brainstorm on it. Brainstorm on it means what you need to do exactly is to see what exactly you can write in the question. Okay, once you have, let's say, seen the question, the previous year question. Okay, then you have thought on it, then you have, let's say, brainstorm the topic what have been asked. Now you need to make a structure, a rough structure. Okay, see, this exercise is in the initial phase. Okay, let's say you continue with this exercise maybe for 10 or 15 days, and you will be habitual to this particular approach. Okay, afterwards you don't be requiring all these things to do. Okay, this practice, or let's say this exercise, is to be done just for 10 to 15 days. With this exercise you will get to know how to address the demand of the question. So what is this exercise? Let's see the demo. Okay, see the question first. So what I have seen the question first. Okay, I have seen key they are asking compare and contrast the British and Indian approach to parliamentary sovereignty, right? Now I will brainstorm on it. I will brainstorm means what exactly are the things which I will be writing here. Okay, like brainstorming means basically thinking that what kind of points will be there. Okay, what kind of differences. Now let's say the nature of the constitution will be different. Somewhere the supremacy of parliament concept is there. Okay, somewhere monarchy is there, somewhere republic is there. Okay, so these are the basic brainstorming points. What I will be doing is I will be listing it down just. Okay, I will be just listing it down, and this listing is nothing but the structures part. Okay, that is a rough structure. That is, let's say, I will be writing a certain introduction over here, then I will be writing 1 2 3 4 points, whatever it is. Okay, whatever are the number of points, and then at last I will be writing a conclusion. So basically what I am doing is I am just doing let's say I am just making a rough structure. Okay, I'm just practicing a rough structure to write the answer. Okay, I have not started yet. I have not started the answer writing yet. Okay, I have just started solving a structure. Okay, basically to decode the demand of the question. Why I am doing this? To decode the demand of the question. Okay, now you need to do this thing particularly with respect to PYQs. Okay, and then you should be doing it maybe let's say 15 days or so. And once you have started doing it, once you have let's say doing this exercise, okay, start with let's say 3 to 4 questions. Hardly it will be like taking you max to max 30 to 40 minutes, okay, for doing this exercise on daily basis. Once your mind is trained to do this thing, okay, or let's say this exercise, once your mind is familiar with it, okay, then you will see that eventually by seeing the question itself you can form that structure in your mind, and then you can directly jump to the answer writing. Okay, let's say I'm not suggesting you should not write answer now, you should not write answers now as well, okay, but you should also practice this kind of brainstorming or let's say structuring of the answer on daily basis, because this exercise is what is going to help you uh, identify the demand of the question. Okay, now the second follow-up question to this question basically, okay, or let's say that this doubt was, let's say, how much words, okay, let's say, or let's say how much content one should write, how much content one should write. Okay, so coming to that, see, UPSC will provide you, okay, 2 pages for a 2 pages for a 10 marker answer and 3 pages for a 15 marker answer. Okay, so let's say this is page 1, this is page 2, and this is page 3. Okay, for for a 15 marker question you need to address 3 pages. Okay, and for a 10 marker question you need to write on 2 pages. 15 marker question you need to write roughly, let's say UPSC will provide you 2 pages for 10 marker, 3 pages for 15 marker. Now see, usually it is asked to write 150 words. Okay, 150 words for a 10 marker question. So again, see, it depends, certain factors are there with respect to writing the content, that how much you should write. Let's say if your handwriting is very 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 small, so your 150 words might be ending up somewhere here. Okay, let's say your handwriting is quite a bit normal, so 150 word for an average student, or let's say who is having that font size, average font size, okay, his his answer may be roughly around 1.5 or let's say 1.7 page, roughly somewhere here. Okay, and let's say if certain people are there, they are like let's say habitual of writing bigger fonts, giving much space in between the sentences. Okay, so they can utilize almost all the page. Okay, that's the first and the second page both. Okay, so similar is the concept for the 15 marker question. Okay, let's say 15 marker question, in that 15 marker question you have been asked to write 250 words. So for an average guy, okay, let's say who is having average font size, the normal font size, the regular font size, he will be ending up writing somewhere around 2.5 or let's say 2.7 page, somewhere like somewhere right here. Okay, so these are the basic things, let's say or let's say basic doubts which were being faced by majority of the students. Okay, now I hope I have addressed this particular issue, that how to address the demand. Okay, so basically addressing the demand, let's say particular question will be having a particular demand. Now unless and until you start practicing, unless and until you utilize that particular approach, that exercise which I told you with respect to the previous year question, let's say it won't get in developed. Okay, you need to practice it a lot. You need, even if you're writing answers on daily basis, but you should take out some 40 to 45 minutes on daily basis, at least try to structure 3 questions on daily basis. Okay, 3 questions might be of your GS or might be of your optional or whatever it is. Okay, but you should be doing this exercise. Your mind should be habitual of forming that structures, identifying the demand immediately. Okay, got it? So I would request you people to write, or let's say to take a screenshot of this particular image, this particular page, that exercise. Okay, take PYQ, see the question, brainstorm, and form the structure. Okay, structure should be comprising of what exactly you will be writing in intro, some basic points. Okay, just the points. You don't need to write the answer as such over there, and then coming to the conclusion. Okay, PYQs, take PYQs, let's say 3 to 4 PYQs on daily basis. Do it till 15 today. Okay, and if eventually you will be having that approach, or let's say that speed also of identifying the demand. Okay, yes. So Just a second, just me erase it, and then we will be discussing the actual question over there. Yes. Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, there is one doubt.
We'll do one thing. We'll be taking all the doubts. Let's say at the end of the session. Okay. Let me finish the questions first. We'll be keeping
Uh,
some 10 to 15 doubts, 10 to 15 minutes over there for our doubt discussion. Okay.
Sir, can you discuss, one question of mine?
No, we'll be discussing all these questions. Okay. We'll be discussing these 5 questions. No issues. Acha, tell me what is your doubt exactly.
So exactly, the one question is there from modern history.
Hmm.
So previous year question है,
Okay.
examine the linkages between 19th century's Indian Renaissance and emergence of national identity.
Okay. Right.
So can you give me like some points or basic understanding how to deal with this question?
Okay. So I will give you a basic line
So
of thought
just
basically.
you if you can do in a brief.
Yes. Yes. I will give you a brief line of thought. Let's say see.
Yes, sir. Yes.
18th century. Okay. 18th century Renaissance.
So 19th century.
Okay. 19th century Renaissance. No issues. So basically, the Renaissance period might be changing, but let's say the ideas would be same over there. Okay.
Yes.
19th century Renaissance over there and the Indian nationalism. So basically, what you need to write over here is the ideals. What were there in the 19th century Renaissance? What were the ideals? Liberty. Okay. Equality.
Freedom.
Fraternity. Okay. Then the concept of right to self-determination.
Yes.
That is freedom. Okay.
Yes.
Again, the same thing. Freedom or let's say right to self-determination. Then uh, liberalism, basically liberalism in the sense of education or let's say access to various other things. Okay, women's or let's say women empowerment, irrespective, let's say the what we can say, anti-caste approach. Okay, let's say discarding the casteism and all these things. Okay, so all these things you should write under a one subheading, that is the early ideals of 19th renaissance. Okay, let's say 19th century
Yes.
renaissance. You
Yes.
should write 4 to 5 points over there, what all were the factors. You can also write the name of the thinkers, Voltaire, Montesquieu, Rousseau. Okay, and then now in the second part, that is in the second subheading, you need to connect these things, that how liberty, equality, fraternity, okay, they eventually led to the ideas of let's say the ideas of socialism. Okay, and then which they basically were then enshrined into the constitution also. Okay, then right to self determination, basically the freedoms demand, which were again utilized by the Swaraj idea. Okay, then education with respect to let's say various other perspectives where there is with respect to education, Ambedkar's perspective, Gandhian perspective. Okay, even Rabindranath Tagore, what we will be discussing right now. So this is all, even the caste angle, a caste angle. Okay, so liberty from in terms of caste as well. Okay, and then temperantry, all these things. So basically you need to highlight, or let's say you need to link the ideas of 19th century with the modern ongoing Indian nationalism. Okay, so this was the basic demand of the question. Got it?
So it is asking like national identity to education and caste. How can we mention that?
So again, education and caste, how can we mention that? See, what is our national identity, or let's say that at the time of Indian nationalism, what were the things on the forefront? That is literacy, right? So
Yes.
literacy will be building your national identity, right? And this
Okay.
is how you can take the ideals from the 19th century approach on education. Similarly,
Yes.
the national identity will be built when we will discard the caste based discrimination, right? The
Yes.
national identity, or let's say the national consciousness, then we'll discard casteism, regionalism, all these things. So this is how you need to connect basically. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, so we'll start with the actual discussion of the questions today. Okay, and whatever doubts you people have, let's keep it at the last of the session. Okay,
Okay.
so let's start with the session. Yes, now see this particular question. This particular question was asked in, let's say, 2023 mains. Okay, GS paper 1. So as I have discussed earlier, as I have told earlier, what exactly this question is about. Okay. Hmm. What was the difference between Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore in their approach towards two things, education and towards the nationalism? Okay, so if you merely write the concept over there, like examiner will not be giving you marks. Okay, so you need to show the comparative analysis over there. Okay, you need to show the comparative analysis. Now let's start with the particular thing. So see, first we will identify what is the demand of the question here. Okay, so demand of the question, as we have discussed earlier, is basically to compare, okay, the ideas of Mahatma Gandhi on education and nationalism with the ideas of Rabindranath Tagore on education and nationalism. Okay, so what would have been the introduction here? Let's say what kind of introduction you would have been given. So when such kind of personalities are being compared here and there, okay, and let's say two important key terms are mentioned here, that is education and nationalism, you can write something which talks about education, okay, and then it will instill the idea of nationalism. Okay, let's say we can write over there with, okay, with liberal ideas coming, okay, liberal ideas coming to the Indian society, okay, the education paved as a bridge to Indian nationalism, okay, or let's say to strengthen Indian nationalism. Now, what I have done here is basically I have utilized both the important key terms asked in the question. Okay, okay. Now, what would have been the second step immediately in the body? So, body may what you need to do is basically you need to now compare the ideas. Okay, you need to now compare the ideas. Now, this comparison would be anyhow. Let's say you could form a table. Okay, you can write about Mahatma Gandhi, you can write about Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, or let's say you can initially write about Mahatma Gandhi's views. Okay, Mahatma Gandhi's views on education. Okay, and let's say Mahatma Gandhi's view on education, and then you can connect, or let's the nationalism, and then by using Rabindranath Tagore's idea, you can then compare these two. Okay, I would suggest to follow a tabular format. Okay, in tabular format, usually it is very much good, very much presentable to compare the things. Okay, now, so see what you can do is basically the ideas of education, the ideas of education. Okay, so you can write education as the first subheading. You can write part A. Okay, you can start with Mahatma Gandhi. You can write here Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, now we know certain things, right? We know certain things about Mahatma Gandhi's concept. Okay, so Mahatma Gandhi concept was basically focused on, let's say, vernacular language. Okay, vernacular language. Then he was focusing on Hindi language. Okay, at the initial level we will be giving the vernacular language, and at the secondary level Hindi language will be promoted. Okay, but let's say Rabindranath Tagore, he focused on, let's say, overall development. Okay, so he focused more on, let's say, the liberal education. Liberal education here in the sense means such kind of educations, okay, education particularly which comprises of Western ideas as well. Okay, now, here with respect to Gandhiji, we know that he focused on the idea of Nai Talim. Okay, Nai Talim was basically focusing on the not only the academic works, okay, but also with respect to the innovation, or let's say the innovative works. Okay, that was the basic concept of, let's say, learn and earn. Okay, where he was basically asking students to take into consideration the activities such as farming, or let's say handcraft, something like that. Okay, now with respect to Tagore, okay, with respect to Tagore, he emphasized on creativity and art. Okay, creativity and arts. Okay, so basically this arts wala idea was basically the difference of point, a point of difference. And then also he focused on the literature. Okay, and he gave the concept, or let's say he formed that particular organization which was known as Vishwa Bharati University, right? Now, okay, so basically these points would have been enough. Okay, these points would have been enough with respect to the comparison of education. Okay, roughly we have written 2 and 2 points of differentiations, and that would be enough. Okay, now, okay, so there is page constraint over here. So I hope you people have understood this thing. Okay, keep on writing these things, whatever I have telling you, because as we are having certain page constraint over here, I will be erasing it. Okay, and then I will be again writing over it. Okay. So whenever it is, let's say you're having that particular pen and paper in front of you, I would suggest you to write it down or note it down somewhere. Okay. Now, yes. Now what we'll be doing is we'll be comparing the ideas of nationalism. Okay. Nationalism of the two personalities. That is Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore. So, idea of nationalism. Okay. Now, so Gandhi's approach was basically focused on, or let's say deep rooted in ahimsa. Okay. Non-violence. So basically non-violence and satyagraha, okay, were the key features of Gandhian nationalism. Okay. But at the same time, or let's say at the other end, okay, Rabindranath Tagore, he focused on, let's say, the cosmopolitanization, okay, or let's say the internationalist perspective. So what exactly the internationalist perspective means? Internationally perspective means, let's say, taking into consideration the various other things as well, okay. And let's say he was the critique of narrow nationalism, okay. He was the critique of narrow nationalism. He basically believed that the nationalism, that the idea of nationalism should be the transcend, or let's say it should be transcending the borders, okay. But on the other hand, let's say if we compare Gandhian approach, so Gandhian approach was most focused on the Swadeshi, right? He was most focused on the Swadeshi, whereas the Rabindranath Tagore's approach was transcending the borders. Basically, not let's say to not only adhere to the Indian values and let's say morals, okay, but also to accept the outsider values, okay, or let's say the Western liberal thought or various other things particularly, okay. And uh, let's say these were the basic things, okay, with respect to the difference of the nationalism. One more difference is this, basically, that Gandhian approach, okay, Gandhian approach believed on Swaraj, okay. Gandhian approach was believing the Swaraj, that is self rule through satyagraha, okay. But let's say Rabindranath Tagore's approach, okay, Rabindranath Tagore's approach was basically believing the self rule, okay. He didn't use the word Swaraj over there, so keep this in mind. He focused on self rule, okay, through let's say sharing of education, art, okay. So he was most focused on this kind of aspects, okay. So this was the basic difference. And also after, let's say, after mentioning the difference, okay, the question is asking what was the difference between Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore, okay. So once you have written part A, that is the idea of education and difference, then you have written the part B, that is the nationalism, difference between the Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore. Now, while writing conclusion, you can give a synthetic view. Synthetic view means what? So basically, you need to show that how, despite being despite there was certain kind of difference between the two, okay, there were certain similarities as well, okay. So what were the similarities? Okay, what were the similarities? Both of them focused on all inclusive education, okay. And both of them let's say what we can say, expressed, okay, both of them expressed concerns over the extreme nationalism, okay, extreme nationalism. So what we have done here is, again, we have utilized those two key terms, that is education and then the nationalism here, okay. So this should be the ideal structure, or let's say ideal answer particularly, okay. Now let's move to the another question. Now here basically this particular question was asked from GS paper 2, okay. It was asked basically from GS paper 2 in 2023 mains. Now see, the basic books are enough to address this particular answer. You don't need to read any extra book over there, okay. Even this answer basically could have been written if you have read Lakshmikant. Okay, so you don't need to go into detail and read any of the books available in the market over there. Okay, now what things basically it is asking. Okay, so see, now this particular question is asking to compare. Okay, compare and contrast the British and Indian approaches to the parliamentary sovereignty. Okay, so we all know that British and Indian approach are basically the parliamentary form of government, right? Now it is asking to differentiate between the two approaches. Okay, so that is the demand. Basically, we need to compare and give certain similarities between the two. Okay, now what should be the ideal introduction here? What should be the ideal introduction here? So basically, you can write, let's say, you can write the constitutional provisions. Okay, you can write the constitutional provisions. Let's say the articles, I guess 74 and 75. Article 74 and 75. Okay, particularly talks about, or let's say provides for the parliamentary system of government. Parliamentary system of government. Okay, in India. Got it? Now, once you have basically given the idea of, let's say, the basic background or which article particularly is talking about, okay, then what we can do is we can start directly with the body. You don't need to write these things. I am writing na yahan pe intro, body. You don't need to write these things. You just need to write the answer directly. This intro and body I am basically writing here so as to make you people clear. Okay, you don't need to write it in the exam. Remember. Now, we can start with the difference part first. Okay, we can start with the comparison first. Okay, now what kind of comparison? So I would again suggest a kind of tabular format, where you can write about the India. Okay, or let's say the Indian parliamentary system, and then you can write the British parliamentary system. Okay, now see, there are certain parameters in on which you need to discuss, or let's say you need to differentiate between the two. So for first is, let's say, the nature of constitution. Nature of constitution. Okay, so what exactly? We know that Indian nature of constitution is the written constitution, but British, it is unwritten. Okay, now second parameter would have been supremacy. The idea of supremacy of parliament. Okay, supremacy of parliament. Now in Indian constitution, okay, in Indian constitution, we do not have at such concept of parliamentary supremacy. Okay, we have the concept of parliamentary, okay, parliamentary sovereignty. Okay, so supremacy and sovereignty are different. Okay, in, let's say, in India's context, our parliament is not at such supreme. Okay, why? Because there is judiciary sitting over there. Okay, to correct the parliamentary happenings. Okay, but when we compare with respect to the British parliamentary system, there is concept of this supremacy. Okay, there is this concept of parliamentary supremacy. Now what exactly here it is? Here the ultimate legislative authority, okay, that is the parliament, is the supreme. Okay, and they can, let's say, challenge, or let's say they can go beyond the judicial scrutiny as well. Okay, now third point of difference should be the federal structure over there, the federal parliamentary structure. Okay, here we have federal structure. We have, okay, basically the states are also given power in the Rajya Sabha. Okay, but on the other hand, the British parliamentary system, it follows the unitary structure. Okay, it follows the unitary structure, means the power is in the hands of British center basically. Okay, let's say the British parliament makes the laws with respect to entire country. Okay, fourth point of difference would be that India, okay, what we say, we the people of India, right? We the people of India means basically now the India is a republic, right? It is republic. That is, power is in the hands of people. Okay, certainly. Now, but with respect to the British parliament, still there are, let's say, there is a particular person who is known as head of state, right? Now that head of state is British monarch, that is king, right? With respect to lawmaking, it is still with the parliament, but let's say the final person over there, or let's say the head of state is considered as a British monarch. Okay, now with respect to the basic structure doctrine, okay, basic structure doctrine, so you people know that India is having this kind of this innovative thing. Okay, Keshwanand Bharati case. Okay, Keshavanand Bharati case, basic structure doctrine, which again, let's say, checks the tyranny of parliament. Okay, it checks the tyranny of parliament, means it, let's say, checks the abuse of power. But with respect to the British parliament, okay, we don't have any such thing. Okay, no such provision is there. Okay, so these were the points of differences. Okay, I guess 4 to 5 points of differences would have been enough. And before concluding, you should write certain 2 to 3 points of similarities as well. Okay, so what are the similarities? So let me erase this particular thing now. Yes, so in the second part, that is part B, we will be discussing the similarities as well. So what are the similarities? So the first similarity is basically the democratic system itself. Okay, democratic system of parliament means the MPs, okay, they are elected by people. Okay, so this first point, which is common to both. Okay, now again, there is a close relation between the executive and the legislature. Okay, there is close relationship between executive and legislature. That is, the member of legislature will eventually become the executive. Okay, so this concept is more or less similar in both the parliamentary concept. Okay, now the third particular point is majority party rule. Majority party rule. Okay, now this third concept is again more or less similar to both the parliamentary system. Okay, we have learned this thing in British also, and let's say in our India's context also. These all the 3 points what we have discussed of similarities, they are particularly there. Okay, so after discussing this, you should write about a conclusion. Okay, so what kind of conclusion you will write to this particular question? Okay, what kind of conclusion over there? I would suggest you to write an appreciative conclusion. Okay, appreciative conclusion means you need to appreciate the Indian model. Okay, Indian model. Why? We are writing UPSC exam. Okay, and obviously while writing this particular exam, we should be mentioning certain good points with respect to India and its democratic structure, right? When we are comparing with respect to any other let's say any other country over there, so we can write that Indian model of parliamentary system, okay, or let's say parliamentary government, is ahead, or let's say best out of best. Why? Because of the basic structure doctrine, which eventually checks over the tyranny, or let's say the arbitrary powers of legislature. Okay, something like that you can write over there. Got it? Now, okay, now see, again, this particular question we'll be discussing. This particular question is with respect to the presiding officer. Okay, now see, certainly there have been various questions with respect to the presiding officer. Presiding officer can be the chairman. Okay, chairman of Rajya Sabha, or let's say the speaker of Lok Sabha. Okay, so there have been eventually a question asked on this particular topics in the previous year questions, but here they have asked something about the role of presiding officers of the state legislature, right? They have asked about the state legislature. So nothing changes. Okay, the concept over there remains over there the same. Certain important things are there which we will be discussing here. Okay, now discuss. Okay, so basically when it is
Sir,
asking,
sorry, sir.
yes.
Sir, in the previous question, it was asked parliamentary sovereignty, not the parliamentary system.
See, parliamentary sovereignty, again, it is a part of parliamentary system, right?
But sir, in UPSC it is said, look, I'm just confirming, please stick to the demand. So the points you have mentioned, one in that Republic wala point is related to parliamentary, difference between parliamentary system. But here
Which,
it specifically mentioned parliamentary sovereignty. So can we
yes,
read general points also?
see, we need to write general points because in that parliamentary sovereignty point, you just have 2 to 3 points only
Yes,
with
sir.
respect to the discussion. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so what we have discussed earlier is with respect to the distinction where we have initially written the highest priority point. Okay, we have
Yes,
went in a sequential manner, and
yes.
let's say we have discussed least important point just before, let's say, ending. Now we need to do this is basically, see, we should be showing, see, particular first thing is that we need to fill the page. Okay, we need to show multiple points.
Yes, sir.
Second thing is that we should not leave any of the point untouched. Okay, UPSC usually expects that you should take a macro view over there. Okay, so at the end we have also discussed this particular thing. This is also the similarity. Sorry, this is also the difference. And just going, let's say the just before conclusion, we are also showing the similarities as well. Okay, though there are differences, but we are also showing the similarities. Got
Okay.
it? Okay. Now, so in this question, see, the question is asking discuss the role of presiding officers of state legislature. Okay, state legislatures, basically presiding officer of state legislature, that is the speaker of state assemblies, right? In maintaining order and impartiality in conducting legislative work. Okay, and in facilitating best democratic practices. Now, here they have asked about discuss. Okay, so discuss means what? Discuss means basically you need to write the positive points. Okay, and you need to write the negatives in the sense basically the criticism also you need to write. Now, since it is a 150 word question, so you will be given just 2 pages. But let's say if it would have been a 3 pages answer, let's say it would have been a 250 words answer, तो उसमें आपका solution भी आता. Okay, so at that time you would have written the solution also. But see, here we have a scope of let's say 2 pages. Okay, only 2 pages we have. Okay, now what to do? We will be writing the positives, we will be writing the negatives as well. Now what we should do is we should write this solution, okay, in the conclusion, very precisely in very short. Okay, so this should be the basic demand of the question. Okay, now let's discuss the points inside. Now, okay, with respect to introduction, what we should write here? Okay, yes, is the screen visible to you people? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes,
see, yes. So basically, with respect to this answer, what we will be writing is we will be writing the articles. The best way of writing the introduction to polity answers is, let's say you can either write any current affairs, whichever is there particularly asked with respect to that particular issue. Okay, or let's say that particular issue asked in the question. Uh, or let's say you can write the articles. Okay, the Supreme Court judgments over there. Okay, or let's say the committee recommendations in the introduction. Okay, to build the context basically. Now here what would have been an introduction? Here introduction may what I would have written is the articles. Okay, articles with respect to 178, article number 178. Okay, which talks about the speaker and deputy speaker of state legislative assembly. Okay, so this would have been the introduction over there. Okay, now we will come to the main body. Now, in the body, particularly here, see, we need to write the first thing, that is uh, its role. Okay, that particular presiding officer's role in maintaining order and impartiality. Okay, so first thing will be role in maintaining order and impartiality. Okay, so what all constitutional provisions we have in our mind? Okay, or what all the rules of this particular rules of procedure, okay, which are being followed in the legislative assembly, whatever we have we need to write over there. So what all things we have with our existing knowledge, what do we have? Okay, so first thing is maintain the order and decorum. Okay, order and decorum in the assembly. Okay, now second point would be, let's say, conducting. See, all these points are very general. Okay, they are directly given in your book, that is Lakshmikant. So these are basically the functions, the functions you need to write, where the particular presiding officer is upholding order and let's say the impartiality. Okay, so here we can write that conducting its business. Okay, business and regulating the procedures. Okay, procedures objectively. Okay, so basically the general functions you need to write. Then what you need to write, you need to also write about the casting vote. Okay, casting vote when there is a tie. Okay, now how he will be addressing the order over there? Because let's say if there is a deadlock in between the discussion, okay, by mentioning this particular casting vote, or let's say exercising this idea of casting vote, okay, he can break that tie, okay, and he can efficiently conduct the business, okay. That point you need to write over here. Now, disqualifications. Disqualifications with respect to whom? With respect to the 10th schedule person, basically the anti-defection, okay, those particular persons who are getting defected, okay. So under this 10th schedule, okay, with respect to the anti-defection law, the presiding officer is having that particular power, and now he will be maintaining the impartiality over there. Okay. Now, see these things. Okay. One more thing. One more important point. One more important point which you should write here is, let's say, protection. Okay, protection of privileges. Okay, so we know that certain privileges have been given, okay, to the members. Okay, so protection of privileges is also necessary so as to function impartially and maintain the order over there. Okay, got it. Then I guess facilitating the debate, okay, and discussions. Debate and discussions over matter of public importance. Okay, so why, how it will be related to the demand of the question? So basically, this will maintain the order, okay, or let's say prevent the chaos, or let's say we are discussing over there matter of public importance, right? So eventually it will be implication on the social issues which are going on over there, okay, or let's say national issues which are going on. So these are the certain points. Let's say 5 points are enough over there. Okay, 150 word answer is there, and let's say on 2 pages, apart from introduction and conclusion, that don't count intro and conclusion. So in the body itself, you should be writing roughly 6 to 7 points, and that's all. Okay. Now, second point, the second part basically, that is criticism. That is the negative part. Now we all know that this functions of maintaining order and impartiality, okay, with respect to the legislative work, it basically, or let's say certainly it affects, okay, or it affects the role, the objective role, or let's say the impartial role. Okay, how? We know that usually it has been seen that the speaker, okay, or the presiding officer is from the ruling party, okay, and thus it brings the partisanship over there at times. Okay, now misuse of money bill route. Okay, misuse of money bill route. Why? To pass on the other bills. Okay, to pass on some bills. So that is the case. Then delaying the decisions. Okay, over disqualification. You can write the example of Karnataka and let's say Maharashtra here. This was in news basically because of the Maharashtra politics. Okay, so this particular delaying the discussion, okay, this will again going to affect the impartiality. Okay, so these things you can write over there. So yes, so basically you have written, see, it was asked to discuss, right? Now we have written the functions, how it will be maintaining the order and impartiality. We have discussed the criticisms. Now we will write a conclusion over here. Okay, so in the conclusion, as I have told earlier, be solution oriented. Okay, intro likh diya, then we have written body, part A, part B. Now we will be moving to the conclusion. In conclusion, what you people must be writing is the solution here. Okay, you should be writing the solution. So see, there have been various judgments. Okay, there have been various judgments with respect to the this particular issue. Okay, with respect to the functioning of state legislature assembly. Okay, so you can write either that judgments, or let's say you can write the best practices which are utilized across the world. Okay, so with respect to the best practices, and let's say I have that particular idea in my mind. So जो आपके दिमाग में आए, okay, whatever comes to your mind first, you should write it over there. Okay, because in the actual time, in the actual, let's say, exam, we don't get that much time to think what all we will be writing. Okay, whatever comes first to your mind, you should be writing. So I would write here a best practice by, let's say, by adhering to the best practices which are utilized particularly in so and so country, you can, let's say, maintain that particular impartiality. Okay, so what exactly the best practice? You can write the best practices of Britain. Okay, there the presiding officer, okay, is strictly a non-party person. Strictly a non-party person. Okay, so this can be written. So this is what came to my mind initially. So that is the reason I have written it over here. Okay, so this is all with respect to this particular question. Okay. Yes. Now, see, this particular question has been asked from the IR section, that is the international relation. Okay. So, in international relation, in the syllabus itself, this particular word, Indian diaspora, is mentioned. Okay. So, you can expect a question on that. So, again, 150 word question, 2 pages, or maybe 1.75 page, or whatever it is, like as per your, what we can say, as per your handwriting, you should be writing over there. Now, Indian diaspora has scaled new heights in the West. Okay. So in the West, speaking means whatever is to the west of India. It might be UAE, or let's say it might be US, it might be Africa, or let's say it might be the Europe. So whatever comes to your mind, whatever example comes to your mind, you can write it over here. Okay. Indian diaspora has scaled new heights in the West. Describe its economic and political benefits for India. Okay. Economic and political benefits for India. Now see, what is the key word here? Key tail word is the describe. So here now you should not write any criticism or anything like that. Okay, you should write maximum points with respect to the economic benefit and to the political benefit of India. Okay, so this can be written. Now, see, also remember there is, okay, also remember there is first part of the question itself. Okay, that is Indian diaspora has scaled new heights in the West. Okay, so you need to give certain background, or let's say certain 2-3 points with respect to the new heights achieved in the West by Indian diaspora. Okay, then you can jump to the economic benefit, then you can jump to the political benefit, and then you can conclude your answer. Okay, now in the introduction, okay, in the introduction you can simply write, let's say, any data, if you have any data with respect to the diaspora over there. Okay, or directly you can define what is diaspora. Okay, you can directly define the term diaspora. Okay, so diaspora is the basically the people of origin, okay, which have migrated outside their motherland and stayed at the other place, okay, or let's say at the abroad countries, so as to increase, like, what is that word, so as to improve their life chances or life standards, something like that. Okay, so see to this exact definition. Okay, and mug up this definition. Okay, whenever, or let's say mug up the data with respect to that particular diaspora. Okay, whenever, let's say in future, maybe in 2024 or 2025, whatever. Okay, whenever the question is there over there, particularly on diaspora, you should be writing it. Okay, so what is part A of the question? That is the body part A. So see here, if we analyze that question is having 3 parts. Okay, part A is basically the Indian diaspora has scaled new heights. You don't need to go in detail. You need to just mention certain 2 or 3 examples of the personalities over there, and that's all. Then you can come to the part B, that is economic, and then you can come to the part C, that is political benefit. Okay, so you can start with, let's say, notable figures like Sundar Pichai. Okay, that is with respect to Google. Then you can talk about Satya Nadella. Okay, then you can talk about, let's say, Dr. Vivek Murthy. Okay, so for those people who are not aware about the names which I am taking, please try to go back at your home and, let's say, at least have a brief idea about whom, like, we are talking about. Okay, just have a basic idea, right? Because these particular persons are very important when it comes to the Indian diaspora. Okay, then leaders like Indra Nooyi. Okay, so these are the certain personalities. Okay, these are certain personalities what we are talking about. Now, initially, once you have written this particular thing, so this particular part A signifies that these particular persons have scaled new heights in the West. Okay, so basically try to mention the name of the company if possible, if you are aware about, and let's say that would be enough. Okay,
So,
now, yes.
so can we add about Mr. Rishi Sunak and Ajay Bangla, sir?
Yes, you can add it, but this basically it would be more suitable to add in the political benefit wala part, or let's say you can add here as well. Okay, no issues. Just
Okay,
we
sir.
need to give that idea ki Rishi Sunak is there, Even you can write about Kamala Harris. ठीक है, तो वो भी लिख सकते हो आप. Okay. So whatever things come to your mind, basically जो कुछ facts आपके दिमाग में आएंगे, you can add up here. Okay. Now, then comes part B. Okay. In part B, you need to write the economic benefits. So let me write it here itself. Part B, the economic benefits. Okay. And then part C, the political benefits. Okay. Now, in terms of economic benefits, what we people can write? The first and the foremost important thing, okay, what they are contributing to us is the remittance. That is the money they are sending in terms of gift, or let's say to their family members, or let's say to their village particularly. So India is the top recipient, okay, top recipient of the remittance. So you should know that thing, okay, and big chunk is coming from the West. Okay. Now, second thing is the foreign direct investments, or let's say foreign portfolio investments, okay, FIIs, okay. Let's say any kind of investment which is made in India's economy, whether it be India's tech ecosystem, or let's say whether it be India's service ecosystem, or whatever it is, okay, manufacturing hub. So basically, all majority of the chunk, okay, in recent, let's say 9 to 10 years during the Modi government's phase, we can be able to see that these FDIs, FPIs have been rising, okay, and main contributors are the Indian origin entrepreneurs, okay. Then skill transfer, okay. So let's say if a particular person is going out, learning new skills, he will be coming back and he will be implementing those things in our India, right? Research and innovations, again, the part of this. Then tourism as well. Okay. So Indian diaspora has also promoted India's tourism, okay, or let's say India as a tourist destination have been earning in foreign exchanges, okay, earning in foreign exchanges. Why? Because many of the people, let's say, for take an example of Rishi Sunak, okay, he came over here, he visited that particular temple, okay. So that is a particular example, but let's say there are many examples where people, PIOs, okay, they're coming into India, they are having this, they're visiting the tourist destinations, okay, and then this particular thing is basically helping India's economy. Now there are certain political benefits as well. So the same example which you told, which a particular girl told right now, that is the example of Rishi Sunak. Okay. So let's say how it is happening, how it is helping. Now the diplomatic leverage has increased, right? These key terms, diplomatic leverage. So what it meant by diplomatic leverage means India's stands in diplomacy have increased. Okay. Or let's say it will get increased. Okay. That is one thing. Second, India is now able to shape the global voice, okay, in its own favor, because we have Indians across the world, right? Then third thing, soft power. That is the people to people connect. Okay, when the people will be getting connected when they are there over there in the country, right? So diaspora connect. Okay, let's say the examples like Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, they are elevating India's global image. Okay, and thus enhancing the soft power over there. And again, below the soft power itself, the cultural diplomacy is one of the part. Okay, so this is the cultural diplomacy. How? Let's say you might be aware about that various Hindu god temples are there, built currently in UAE. Okay, various festivals are being celebrated in US and UK. Okay, Rath Yatra, Ganeshotsav, various other festivals are being celebrated by the Indian diaspora. So basically, they are bringing the world and India culturally together, right? So these things you should write over there. Now, in the conclusion can be, let's say, again the positive only. Because, okay, like you can write any of the thing. At times, what happens is we are not able to get what exactly conclusion we should be writing. Okay, we are not able to get what exactly the terms or the key terms which I should mention in the conclusion. Okay, because we should be writing that paper in 3 hours. We are having limited time. So at that time, what you can use is you can use the words from the particular question. Okay, let's say if I'm not able to recall the conclusion right now, or let's say if I'm not able to remember what exactly I should write, so how I would write answer. We know the first line, that is Indian diaspora has scaled new heights in the West. Okay, so you can write that Indian diaspora has not only scaled the new heights in the West but across the globe. Okay, and which is eventually helping strengthen India's GDP as well as India's India's cosmopolitanization, okay, or let's say India's uh, Indian values of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, something like that, okay, where I have retained that terms, economy wala concept bhi and the political concept bhi, okay, and then I have connected it to the conclusion, something like that. If you are not able to recall the things, directly see the question, see what all keywords you can utilize, and then directly write it, okay. So we need to be smart over there, okay. Now, yes. So this is our last question, I guess. Yes, this is our last question for today. Now see, this question was a 250 word question, okay. So 3 pages will be allotted by UPSC. Okay, at least you people should be writing 2.5 pages, okay. At least 2.5 pages should be written, okay. Now, explain the constitutional perspective of gender justice, okay, with the help of relevant constitutional provisions and case laws, okay. So what you need to write is, basically you need to write various constitutional provisions, okay, with respect to gender justice, okay, and you also need to write various case laws, okay, various laws, or let's say various acts particularly with respect to the gender justice, okay. Now, okay, now, so it's the same thing, okay. Basically this particular question is comprising of two parts. First is basically the constitutional provisions, what all constitutional provisions are there in the Constitution of India with respect to the gender justice, okay. And second part is basically the case laws. Those are various cases, or various Supreme Court cases, okay, various laws which have been there out of those particular case, okay. So all these things you need to write over there. So basically this question demands more of a mugging up, okay, let's say more of factual information. As such, analysis over there was not much in this answer. Basically, much means negligible. So those students who are basically aware about what all constitutional provisions are there, or let's say what all cases have been happening over there, and let's say they have happened in past, what are the laws which were established, okay, and let's say what are the government initiatives which have been taken place. So these things you should have written over here, okay. Now, so basically explain. So whenever explain is asked in the question, so you need to describe it, okay. It means you need to mention the descriptive information. You don't need to criticize over there, okay. You only need to write the points, what all are things, what all are the factual things over there, and you need to mention the examples as well to justify your statements, okay. Explain constitutional perspective of gender justice, okay. Now, so initially you can start the introduction in two manners. So first would be, let's say, the mentioning of gender gap report, okay, gender gap report 2023, which talks about that India is ranked 127, okay, out of 146. Oh yes, 127, yes, exactly. So 127 out of 146. So this can be a introduction, this can be a context building kind of thing, or let's say you can directly define the term. Define the term of gender justice. What exactly is gender justice, okay. So gender justice is basically equal access to the resources, okay. It is nothing but equal access, okay, to resources and opportunities. Resources and opportunities, okay, both are different terms. Resources and opportunities regardless of gender, okay, regardless of gender, okay. I hope you have got it right, regardless of the gender, okay. Now, yes, now we'll write the body, okay. So once we have written the introduction, we will address the part of body now. So in body, let's say first we need to write about the constitutional provisions, okay. Part A will be the constitutional provisions. So what all are the constitutional provisions with respect to the this particular gender justice related thing? So start with the initial, सबसे पहले start with the preamble, okay. The preambular ideas, okay, the preambular ideas of equality, okay, equality, freedom, and justice, right? Then start with the fundamental rights. Rights may, which rights we have, okay, that is Article 14, right to equality. Then Article 15, prohibition of discrimination, right? Then we are going chapter wise chapter. Okay, whatever we have learned in the Lakshmikant, तो हम लोग ऐसे ही उसको लिख रहे हैं. Then in DPSP, what we have the article, I guess 39 hai. Yes, 39, article 39, which talks about equal pay for let's say both the gender, equal pay among men and women, okay, for same work. Then we have, let's say, fundamental duties over there. Okay, in that fundamental duties, article 51A, okay, what it mentions is basically to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of woman, right? So this is also the part of gender justice. Okay, now before moving to part B, let me erase the thing. I hope you are writing this thing, okay, because any which way this things should be written, at least, because we are discussing the important things. Okay, now in the part B of the body, what we will be writing is the cases, okay, or let's say the case laws. So case laws is what exactly means by case laws. So case laws means basically the case, the Supreme Court case, okay, and what all are the legal provisions taken over there. Okay, now see, first thing, okay, first thing you can write about the Vishakha versus state of Rajasthan, okay, 1997. You can write about that. Okay, where let's say the Vishaka guidelines were given by the Supreme Court, okay, and then it defined the sexual harassment, and then this particular act, POSH Act, was passed. Okay, then you need to mention about the Shahabano case. Okay, Shahabano case, where let's say certain sections, let's say particularly the divorced woman, okay, the divorced Muslim woman is entitled to the maintenance. So this particular initiative was taken. Okay, just a second. Huh? Divorced Muslim woman for the maintenance. Okay, that is the maintenance. Right to maintenance was taken into consideration. Then what you could write about? You can write about the I guess Lata Singh case. Okay, Lata Singh case. So what exactly this Lata Singh case is? So this Lata Singh case talks about the validity of intercaste marriage, where the Supreme Court over there, okay, it uphold the rights of women to marriage. Okay, so this is how gender justice is again upheld over there. Then there was a particular famous issue, okay, the famous case, the Sabrimala issue over there. That is basically named as Young Lawyers Association, okay, versus State of Kerala, okay, where the temple entry was given to Sabrimala. Okay, so here also the gender justice was prevailed. Okay, now the medical termination of pregnancy bill, or let's say the act only itself, okay, which was there over there, okay, in 2022, where the unmarried women's consent, okay, is also upheld. Okay, so these were certain important things. These were certain Supreme Court judgments, basically, okay, cases, and then the initiatives, basically what government took. So you can write these things, and let's say in the conclusion, okay, in the conclusion, or let's say just before the conclusion, I would suggest in the conclusion, because once you have written this much particular points, okay, there will be very less scope for writing any other data. But let's say if you are having any particular space remaining, so what you can do is you can write certain government initiatives. Okay, you can write government initiatives like, let's say, She-Box. You can write about the Nirbhaya Pathak, okay, or let's say Nirbhaya Squad by the police. Then you can write about Swadhar Griha. Okay, so this kind of initiatives you could write, or let's say if there is very less space there with respect to your answer, so you can write these initiatives and you can directly conclude by writing these initiatives itself. Okay, or let's say if you have written the government initiatives separately and still now you need to conclude, then what you can write is you can write any of the quote of any of the famous personality. You can write the quote of Mahatma Gandhi ji, okay, where he suggested that we cannot progress if the half of us, okay, are left behind, and this half of us means he usually denoted a woman. Okay, with respect to that. Got it? Yes. Again, to add certain important thing, or let's say the new thing over here, you can write gender. Okay, so gender comprises of the transgender as well, right? Not the LGBTQ, the transgender over here. Okay, so transgender is also gender, right? They also need justice, right? So transgender justice. So there was a bill currently, okay, protection of the transgenders' rights. So that act also you can write over here. Okay, it was also again, let's say, by a particular case, that is uh, I'm not able to recall, Jarnail Singh, something, Jarnail Singh versus something particular institution was there. Okay, so just see to it exactly once. So that particular case you could have written over here. Okay, yes. So this is all with respect to the today's discussion. Now let's take up doubts. What all doubts do you have? Let's see your doubts. Yes, yes, people, you may address, you may ask your doubts over there. Yes,
So can I ask?
yes, you can ask one by one. Yes,
So
start with us.
when the question was too complex, like the question will be like having 3 to 4 lines. It's
Mhm.
very difficult to understand the demand of the question and to understand the question. So how we can tackle that issue and answer it properly?
Okay, so in that case, do one thing. See, any question, however complex it might be, okay, it is comprising of certain subparts, right? So try to identify the subparts first. That is, let's say the three to four lines question is there. Okay, try to see where that particular parts have been there under the particular question. Now you can see such kind of questions in, let's say, previous year papers. That is particularly with respect to the GS4 ethics part. Ethics may be section A. Okay, section A questions are such that, let's say, they are like very much big. They are like 4 to 5 statements. But what you can do is you can uh, cut that particular question in various subparts, and then you can identify each subpart. Okay, and then you can club together, and then you can think of what general idea is question talking about. Now how will it eventually come is basically you need to practice that thing. Okay, what you need to do is you need to take PYQs. You need to initially break down that particular question in small subparts and write the structure over there besides. Okay, don't start solving immediately. Write the structure. Okay, what exactly it is written over there. Okay, and let's say if you people are having any peers, you can discuss with them. Let's say Google that particular question, see what exactly the model answer is coming over there. Or let's say if you people are having any kind of model answer book in available with let's say any of the publication, you can buy it and see whatever you have written or whatever you have analyzed, whatever structure you have made, is it the same what any other person is telling. So it's good if it's similar. Okay, so you people are on right track. If it is not similar, then you need to again visit to that particular question and see why, like, that's basically what exactly went wrong. Okay,
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
yes, people, you can ask any doubts.
So, what should be the approach to answer modern history questions?
Okay, so
Like in
see,
polity, it is preferred to write articles and committees, etc. In modern
right,
history, like what should be the approach or structure?
okay, so
And
see,
problematic is the more problematic is conclusions.
right. So see, coming to particularly specific modern India questions, so or let's say any of the history questions. Okay, introduction should be comprising a kind, let's say, a kind of historical background. Okay, but again it depends on the question. Let's say the question which we discussed today, Mahatma Gandhi and then the Rabindranath Tagore, so we can't say that they are having certain background built over there. But let's say if any question is there on Swadeshi movement, so you can give a brief background. Let's say that Swadeshi movement was a response to the partition. Okay, the partition of Bengal particularly. Okay, so you can write this kind of background in the history questions. Okay, that is more suitable. But let's say if such kind of questions are not there. Okay, so what you can write is you can pick the keywords and write with respect to the keywords itself. And in the conclusion, it is always recommended that since we are writing history questions, it would be somewhere a good idea to show the repercussions of the above mentioned answer, or let's say the topic on which you are writing answer in the future. Let's say you have written the question on Swadeshi movement. Okay, now in the conclusion, what you can write is you can show the implications of Swadeshi movement on the further coming national struggle events. Okay, something like that. A futuristic
So
conclusion.
like futuristic approach.
Yes, futuristic approach. Now this is more suitable, but again it depends on the question. Let's say, for example, if I have a particular collection of quotes with me, and let's say a particular question have been asked on the events of Mahatma Gandhi, or let's say any particular Quit India movement or something like that, and if I have written somewhere a particular good quote, or let's say some extracts from the speech of some prominent personalities, and if I am able to recall it at that moment, so I can write that particular value added thing in the conclusion. Okay, so it depends upon the question which is asked, but most, if we generalize, then that historical background in the intro and the futuristic approach in the conclusion is best suited for history questions.
So like simple lucid language will fetch marks now.
Yes. You don't need to write any complex statements. At times, what people do is they write complex statements. Okay, big statements and let's say complicated jargons they use. You need to use key terms. Okay, whichever are there in the syllabus, but not the technical jargons. Okay, be simple, be specific, write points in concise manner, not in much detail. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have a question in polity, sir.
Yes. Go ahead.
Sir, in analytical question, I'm not able to write a well-structured answer. So, what should I do to improve my answers in analytical question? In a static question, I'm performing well, but in analytical answers, I'm not able to write very versatile answers.
So analytical questions, in analytical questions, you need to see. Again, it depends upon the question, like what kind of analysis has been asked. Let's say if it is asking discuss or critically examine, so you need to give analysis in the sense the positive things what will be happening, or the potential it is having, and let's say the criticism, or let's say the second the negative aspects of that particular issue. So this is what we are talking about, the analysis. Okay. Now if let's say certain questions are there where critically examine or these kind of things are not given as such, but the question demands analytical information, so at that moment what you can write is you can mention certain happenings. Okay, let's say you can make your answer more dynamic by adding certain current affairs. Okay, all these things. So this will make examiner look that you are analyzing that topic with respect to the current application as well. So this is a safest way to score marks when you are not able to analyze the thing. Okay, but again it depends upon the question itself, what kind of analysis it's asking over there. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sir, how to make two page notes on every topic and which source to follow, especially for quality?
Okay, so addressing the second question, for polity, what you can do is Lakshmikant should be the basic material. Okay, and for your governance and all these things, okay, there are n number of materials available in the market. Okay, various classes have been providing these PDFs. Okay, so you can directly refer to them and see. Now, if you are referring to any of the classes notes, then you don't need to make notes out of that particular notes. Okay, because again what you will be doing is you will be making another book of your own, right? So rather than that, just try to pick the keywords. Okay, and if you're making notes, let's say pick the keywords from that material and write it somewhere. Okay, basically you don't need to write the whole statements again. Got it?
Yes, sir.
And
Sir,
how to make huh.
for
Yes,
main,
yes.
we have to choose other book except Lakshmikant?
No, what you need to do is basically you need to think analytical. The book will be same. Okay, let's say
Yes.
the book will be Lakshmikant only, but what you need to do is you need to look the previous year questions. You need to be aware about the current affairs what are happening. Let's say for the question which we discussed today, the presiding officers wala role, that question, the functions and all these things are directly given in the Lakshmikant. Now where comes the analysis is the discussion. So that analytical part will be coming to you when you are reading the newspaper, or let's say when you are reading the current affair magazines, or basically you are aware about the current affairs. So that particular thing was in the news, where basically certain issues were going on. That is the reason that particular question came. So apart from Lakshmikant, what if at all whatever you need to do is the newspaper. Okay, that is the must thing. Or let's say the current affair magazine of any of the class whichever you are following. Okay, so that particular basically be aware about the current affairs. Okay.
Yes, yes. Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
yes.